Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations and welcome to Reaction Watch for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. That is coming out soon, but tonight they had the world premiere. I'm joined here right now by Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, this is very exciting. I mean, this is the movie that I'm more curious about than any MCU Phase 4 project, and boy, it has a lot to live up to.
It does have a lot to live up to, but we are here to talk about this thing. The reactions have already started pouring in. Now, we will, of course, go more in depth on all the reactions on tomorrow's episode of the John Campea Show, but we can tell you right now, breaking news, the reactions have started coming in for Wakanda Forever, and we're going to start taking a look at some of these right now. So I'm just opening these up as they're coming in. They are pouring in. We got our first one from Jack McBrien. Rob says Wakanda Forever is phenomenal. Easily the best MCU project of Phase 4. I cannot understate how masterful the score is from start to finish. There are no weak links in the cast, but I have to give a special shout out to Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright, who really blew me away. And that is the first reaction we have for it. Another reaction in here comes us from Bryven Davids, who writes, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is Marvel's most poignant and powerful film to date. It's heavy and dark in the way that it needed to be and mostly abandons the studio's trademark tone. The craft work levels up in every conceivable way, and the performances rise to the occasion. So, Rob, those are the first two we're hearing. What are you thinking so far of the first two that we've got there?
John, I mean, it's incredible. Over at the Pop Base, they've tweeted a few more. This is my favorite, coming from Watching as Intended, or at the Adam Chode says, Wakanda Forever review, Marvel's magnum opus. Ryan Coogler does it again, delivering a very emotional, epic, and sexy, horny adventure. Wow, this isn't just another superhero movie. It's one of the best films ever. Great action and a fitting send-up to what's next. There you go.
All right. We've got another one here from, where are we at here? We've got one here from Film Friends Work. Says, though not without its flaws, Black Panther Wakanda Forever accomplishes the difficult task of reckoning with real tragedy while also delivering the same sense of excitement and adventure that has defined Marvel Studios since the early days. Hashtag Wakanda Forever. We have more coming in here. The next one comes in, and it says, this one's from Kevin McCarthy, and Kevin McCarthy writes, Wakanda Forever is a beautifully cathartic tribute to the legacy of Chadwick Boseman, reminds us of his monumental impact and that he's truly still here with us. Great performances from Aguilera, Bassett, Wright, and Thorne. Huerta was incredible, loved Rihanna's songs and Ludwig's score. And that's what I've been waiting to hear, Rob. I've been waiting to hear some comments about Ludwig's score, because of course he did a masterful job. Did he win the Academy Award last time for the first Black Panther? I can't remember if he won it for that or if he won it for something else.
So
it was that or for something else. At any rate, I know he's won Emmys before, but it's good to hear that the score is there. So we've read about 5 or so reactions coming out so far, Rob. What are the things or the elements of these reviews you're hearing that are standing out to you?
Well, just that you know, they've plussed everything. Everything is sort of amped up. That the fact that it's a cathartic movie, that it's emotional. I'm seeing a few more, John. This is really interesting. Jack McBrien, McB directs, says Namor is one of my favorite additions to the MCU. He strikes the perfect balance of being intimidating yet sympathetic. His action scenes are some of my favorite put to screen, such a unique and powerful fighting style. All of the MCU fans who are getting a little tired of humor will be happy to know Wakanda Forever is a much more serious movie. Jokes are rare past the halfway point, and for the most part, this is one of the most earnest films in the MCU. That sounds good to me. I think this movie had to be serious. And I like the fact that it seems to be, I mean, there's a lot. I knew there was going to be a lot going on, but it seems to me that what I wanted out of this which was, you know, an examination into these two nations' conflicts. And I was really hoping Namor would be a really fully developed character. Seems to be the case, which is great.
I mean, yeah, it seems to be across the board. Everything's good. We've got some more ones here that I'm going to get to in just a second as I pull this up. So this one comes to us from, wrong one. This comes to us from FICO, who wrote, Wakanda Forever is fantastic. Coogler delivers a soulful, wondrous sequel that packs an emotional punch and effectively explores relevant world themes. A beautiful tribute to Boseman's legacy. Letitia and Tenoch are great, and the mid-credit scenes is really moving. That was one of the questions we had going in there, Rob, was there have been some of these premieres that they've done where they have left out the post-credit scenes for people seeing it early, particularly now this one is being shown to an audience 3 weeks before the movie's coming out. So apparently they are showing a mid-credit scene. Are you surprised by that? Were you expecting them to do that, or were you thinking that they were going to hide those for now?
No, I figured they would show the whole thing. I think they know, well, as soon as they heard that they pushed up the premiere to this date, I figured they knew they had something great.
All right.
I think so.
I'm still trying to, sorry guys, I'm still trying here to kind of weed my way through the various reactions that have been coming in to find the ones that I have not already read off to you yet. But it's a little slow going. But Rob, while we're on the topic of this, like it's now been played for a public audience. What's your expectation like right now for the film, and what's your anticipation level like? So what do you think about that right now as we have our first audiences starting to see it already?
Well, John, you know, I mean, this has been my most anticipated Phase 4 movie, and I expect a lot from it. I mean, it has a lot of heavy lifting to do because I've wanted to know, like, what is the geopolitical situation in the MCU? They really have sort of shied away from everything that's happened in the MCU in Phase 4. Nothing is tied to anything else. Do the Egyptian gods have anything to do with the Celestials that have anything to do with the 10 rings? And with the emergence of a new world power on the world stage and the Talocan, whatever it's called, Empire, Hegemony, Confederacy, how is that all going to play into the rest of the world? Like, how is NATO going to react to that? How's the United States going to react to that? How is Latveria going to react to that? Do we know? So I'm expecting a lot. This Ryden says Wakanda Forever is a powerful film and a great tribute to Chad Boseman. There's never been a comic book movie like it. Really strong performances all around. But he says Namor's motivations were a little weak, and I felt the runtime, but it's top of Phase 4 for me. So, I mean,
we were wondering about that, right? About the runtime, because this is it's a serious runtime that's coming in at like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. I've got a few more here for us to look at. This one comes to us from Big Gold Belt Media, who writes, Wakanda Forever was an epic emotional roller coaster of an adventure, cried numerous times and have no shame. Letitia Wright performance as Shuri was one for the ages, complete elevation of her previous times. This one comes to us from Ashley Saunders, who writes, Wakanda Forever honors Chadwick and T'Challa. It's emotional, powerful, and beautiful. Tenoch is brilliant, immediately grabbing your attention. Welcome to the MCU, Namor. Riri is fun with Peter Parker-like energy. Action, Phase 4 tie-ins, and some surprises. I loved it. We'll get back to that Phase 4 tie-ins part in just a second here, Rob. But Daniel Howard also writes, Wakanda Forever is blockbuster filmmaking on another level. It surpasses the incredible first film with high stakes and thrilling world building. It's an emotional, dark journey leading to a full-scale war, but always feels personal. This may be the best Marvel movie yet. So, Rob, one of the things that one of the reactors there mentioned was...
We have to temper this by, when people go to the premiere, they get hyped.
Yeah, like people coming out of a premiere tend to be hyped. However, we're hearing some common themes spread across this. One of the things that I think was Ashley that mentioned there that was interesting was Phase 4 tie-ins. which has been something that, you've been critical of because, there haven't been a lot of connective tissue with Phase 4 right now. How vital do you think that is for Black Panther, hearing people saying that there are Phase 4 tie-ins now finally happening?
I think it's important because, one of the appeals of the MCU is how large events lead into other large events. Things build upon other things. And they did a really good job with that with things like Winter Soldier and how things built upon events built upon other events, and all leading up to Infinity War and Endgame. And, going into Infinity War, we were feeling the repercussions of what happened at the end of Civil War. You had Black Widow and Cap. They were on the run. They were with their team. And all of that through line really served the MCU well. And I think that that's been something, they've called this the multiverse saga, but I'm more interested in the regular MCU and where we're at. And, with the emergence of Wakanda on the world stage, when they started opening embassies at the end of Black Panther, that's really interesting stuff. How does that affect the rest of the world? And with the Taliban coming in, how, again, is the balance of power shifted? And I'm really curious. And it sounds like they're addressing these issues. So, I can't wait to see more.
All right, speaking of more, breaking news. We have more reactions coming in from the premiere in Hollywood that we've got up here. So let's go over and take a look at this. We're starting with Baz by Night writes, God, this movie, Wakanda Forever, was so powerful. Everett Ross was obviously a standout character. And when Happy freaking Hogan put on the Black Panther suit, powerful stuff. Obviously a little bit of facetiousness in that reaction there. But Eric Voss kicks in and he says, Black Panther Wakanda Forever makes it clear how precious Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa, I jumped there. Makes it clear how precious Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa were to the MCU. Without him, the film sometimes yearns for a heartbeat. It finds it at just the right moments, and it's exhilarating. I cannot wait to see it again. And again, once again, that's Eric Voss. This comes to us from Ryden, who writes, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is a powerful film and a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman. There has never been a comic book movie like it. Really strong performances all around too. Namor's motivations were a little weak. We've heard that a couple of times here. We're a little bit weak, and I felt the runtime, but it's still towards top phase. That might have been one that you read a little bit earlier too, Rob. But again, a lot of people saying that this really does, and I like this one shot here in the tweaks. That looks like that's Namor recovering in the background. So it looks like a Black Panther Namor. And Rob, to me, with the amount of people pointing out Letitia Wright's performance, it sounds like, yeah, definitively, it sounded pretty clear that she's probably the new Black Panther. Just with everybody raving on her performance. Unless she dies in it, which was my guess a long time ago, but I don't know. We'll see. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I don't know if she dies, dude. I don't know if this is real. Somebody posted a spoiler, and don't worry, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's something I thought I wanted to see in this movie. And they say it's in the post-credit scene. I don't know. It's not Doctor Doom, by the way. I'm not going to say what it is, but fascinating if true.
Is there, with the reactions that we are hearing, though, and we've gone through about 12 reactions now that we've have coming out, and I'm keeping my ear to the ground right now, seeing if we have any more coming. By the way, thank you to everybody who has been sending us the headlines. Saganesea has been sending a lot of them in. Manuel Elvire has been sending a bunch in. Charles has been sending some in. Nick H has been sending some in. Thank you to all you guys who've been sending in reactions. If you guys continue to see reactions coming in that we have not read off yet, please by all means email a link to those reactions to me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Rob, I just mentioned that with all of the praise we're hearing for Letitia Wright coming out, it does sound like everything that has been kind of hinted at, that she's Black Panther. And it'll be interesting to see because we had the cast come out and say, yeah, everybody's guessing who Black Panther is, but nobody's getting it right. So I don't know. Maybe she has this really powerful emotional death scene. I don't know. We'll see. But is there anything you're starting to put together or piece together yourself from the movie, just guessing wise, just from the reactions that we're hearing so far?
not really about the Black Panther, him, her itself. I'm really seeing that people are loving Namor. That's the thing that I was really interested in, because I want to love Namor, John, and everyone's saying his performance is incredible, and that they really liked him. And I think that shot of him flying in the air with his little wings, that gave me pause, John, to be honest. And but looking at the reactions, I haven't seen there's been not one. I'm looking, by the way, I'm on the Twitter feed with the hashtag Wakanda Forever Twitter feed right now, and that's where I'm looking at all this stuff from. And so a lot of it's in Spanish. I don't know if they had a premiere in Spain somewhere, Puerto Rico, but that's the thing I'm most interested in, is how is Namor going to be, and everyone is really singing his praises. And I was worried between his costume and his wings that he might be goofy, but no one's saying that. And that's the thing that I'm really excited about.
I think one of the things that go ahead.
Sorry. Well, Namor and the original Human Torch are the oldest Marvel characters. So It's great to see that Namor is being done right.
It's one of the things that we kind of thought they would do going into this, and a few more reactions are starting to come in here now, was that we really felt from everything we heard early on that Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige wanted to make this movie a bit of a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And of course, the lack of Chadwick Boseman, of course, has been the biggest story surrounding this movie, obviously, for obvious reasons and for understandable reasons. But from all the different reactions, this one comes to us from Chris Marks, by the way, who writes, and this is one of the reactions coming in. You could feel the love oozing out of every aspect of Wakanda Forever for Chadwick Boseman. While this movie is a definitive step of moving on from T'Challa, it at the same time is an absolute tribute to T'Challa, and of course, the one piloting the character, Chadwick Boseman. So, we've been hearing a lot about that all the people coming out of this movie are seemingly are saying that you can feel that. How important was that, do you think, Rob, for Kevin Feige, Ryan Coogler, to not just try to make this an entertaining, bombastic kind of film, but also to make it like a living tribute to Chadwick Boseman? How key was that for them?
I think it was key. I mean, I think that we haven't really seen in pop culture history what Chad Boseman meant to so many people on many different levels. I mean, the obvious being the representation and the fact that you had basically a $200 million film with a predominantly black cast, with somebody like Ryan Coogler, a powerhouse up and coming actor, leading that charge. And to have him taken away, cut down in his prime, I think that the world was waiting for some kind of a catharsis. And I think that they had to honor him. And it seems like, to me, they continued on. I mean, dude, I would not have wanted to have been in the position to follow up Black Panther and Chad Boseman's passing, but it seems that they've done it. And if they pulled that off, I think that's a huge deal. And in pop culture history, I can't remember when something like that's ever been done. And kudos to them, because they could have. There's a lot of we've seen a lot. We've talked on the show, and there's a lot the hashtag recast T'Challa movement, and I think they were damned if they did and damned if they didn't. But they chose a path, they stuck to it, and it seems like they stuck the landing. And I think if they've got a great movie and they honored Chad Boseman's memory, man, that's a win for everybody. And I'm glad to see that seems to be the case. But again, it's the premiere, and people. I always like to wait and see, and for another day or two or three, and see the opinions sort of level out.
Well, we've got more. The next wave of the reactions have started coming in here. So let's jump over and see what more people are saying. This one came to us from Travis Hobson, who writes, Wakanda Forever is exactly the cathartic experience I hoped it would be, helping us move past our grief while watching the Wakandans fight to do the same. The intro of Namor was incredible, the story bittersweet and packed with emotionally charged twists. This one came to us from Lando, who wrote, Wakanda Forever is outstanding. It handles loss, grief, and revenge with a maturity and seriousness rarely seen in the MCU. Black Panther continues to be their crown jewel. Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, and Tenoch Huerta all bring some of the best acting I've seen all year. This one comes to us from Kenny J, who writes, Black Panther Wakanda Forever shares a heavy and emotional feeling with you for the great Chadwick Boseman that continues in a solid action, more serious Marvel story and performances for the whole movie, bringing some surprises too. It didn't disappoint. Also, Ironheart. You know, so Rob, we're seeing the continuation of everybody lauding the heaviness, the seriousness, the dealing with the issues of grief and loss and action and all that kind of stuff. And more praises for Letitia Wright, for Angela Bassett. What is interesting here to me is, and kind of disheartening, to be honest, is that out of the 20 some odd reactions we've read so far, I haven't heard anybody mention Winston. I haven't heard, Winston Duke. I haven't heard anybody mention Lupita. I haven't heard anybody mention, there have been one or two mentions of Riri and Ironheart, but not a lot. So I don't know. But remember, these are just one tweet reactions. There's not a lot of room for people to express their full thoughts or anything on this stuff. But I'm starting to get a little bit discouraged that we may not see as much M'Baku or Nakia as I was kind of hoping to see. I don't know. Should I not be worried about that right now? How do you interpret that?
I don't think you should be worried about that now because people are just trying to gather their thoughts. By the way, I don't know if you've seen this. Tyler Perry has weighed in at the premiere. He said,
"Oh, really? What did he say?"
He says, it's my hope that Ryan Coogler's career follows the path of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas because he's that level of brilliant. This level of creativity needs its own lane." And our friend Wendy back from Collider,
right?
You know, Wendy has weighed in. Let's see, I just had it, and now I can't find it, but because it just refreshed.
Well, I've got another one right here, actually. This is an interesting one. This comes to us from the Josie Marie, who writes, it's hard to shake the emotional weight Black Panther Wakanda Forever carries throughout the entire film. More serious in tone, a wonderful conclusion to Phase 4. It celebrates women as the fiercest protectors of all. Angela Bassett, Tenoch Huerta, Michelle Cole, and of course the music of Rihanna. We're hearing a number of people kind of mention their reactions to the Rihanna score here as well. Were you able to find Wendy's reaction?
Yep. Wendy Lee says Wakanda Forever will take you on a roller coaster of emotions. While Chadwick's absence is felt, the cast's performance is phenomenal. The journey and mourning that each cast goes through is felt throughout the film. Tons of action, and Namor is fantastic. So there you go.
They needed to come out with, they needed this to have a strong antagonist, right? Like this thing needed, if you're going to bring a character like Namor into the MCU in one of these projects, he's got to come out strong and got to come out swinging. And it sounds like from a lot of the reactions, while they're not mentioning Winston Duke or Lupita Nyong'o or any characters like that, we are hearing a lot of mentionings about Namor. How key was that? Like, in the midst of making a movie that's honoring Chadwick Boseman and trying to bring that emotional weight, there's still the business of making a good movie, and that means having a good antagonist. How key was it for this movie to make sure they nailed their antagonist that way?
I think it was key. I mean, you know, we've often talked on the show about how a movie is only as good as its villain. And I think that having an antagonist, because, you know, you had to have an antagonist that wasn't just a bad guy, but whose conflict with Wakanda itself had meaning, and didn't just have meaning within the MCU, but had a meaning to the audience at large. Because, you know, the idea of clashing civilizations and clashing cultures, I mean, we've been living in a time of many different clashing cultures over the last 10 years. And I think seeing that kind of a conflict on screen, and international conflict, is really important. And I think, again, it's part of what they had to the tough road they had to go down when they were making this film. But it sounds like they really nailed it. By the way, there's a response from Tessa Smith. Mama's Geeky says This is interesting. Black Panther Wakanda Forever feels like a war movie. It's emotional, heavy, intense, and phenomenal. Namor is an incredible and powerful villain, but the film focuses on grief, loss, and vengeance. You aren't ready for the Marvel logo and the mid-credit scene. It honors Chadwick Boseman perfectly.
Yeah, that's again, the stuff about leaning into that stuff. By the way, there's another one here that came in right on the heels of Tessa's from Samuel Leggett, who wrote, Wakanda Forever is easily the best Marvel film since Avengers Endgame. The scope, the camera work, the acting, and the raw emotions on and off screen can be felt throughout. This is the Marvel I've missed. I've had one word in my heart all night. Wow. So, Rob, I think you and I will both agree that coming out and saying that this might be the best, MCU movie in phase 4 isn't as big of a challenge as, say, in phase 1, 2, or 3. Although there have been some spectacular ones. Shang-Chi is definitely one of them. Actually, I got to take this call. I've got a friend down there on the ground. Let me get this. Why don't you comment on that a little bit there about that key stuff there?
Well, yeah, hey. I mean, look, the way I see this this film, again, it has a lot. It means a lot to a lot of people for different reasons, and I kind of see this for me personally. What I wanted to see was a return to the overarching storyline of the MCU, of which Wakanda has played a large role. The emergence of Wakanda on the world stage. I mean, look, as a longtime science fiction, fantasy, and horror fan, I like the world building aspect of Wakanda. I loved meeting T'Chaka and T'Challa in Civil War, which and how they carried over the story to Black Panther.
I'm gonna go. I'm live on air right now, so
I wanted to see more of that.
Bye-bye.
Hard to talk, but it seems like this movie is leaning into that. What's really interesting, John, is that there hasn't been anybody telling us what exactly the plot is. And I'm still
that's hard to do in these quick reaction.
I know,
right?
I know. I still don't have a sense of like what the movie's about, other than there's it feels like a war movie. What does that mean? I guess I'm gonna find out. But very, very exciting. I mean, and more and more of these. They're coming in. They're coming fast and furious. Yeah. I mean,
so I just got off the phone with somebody down there. One of the things that I was getting from somebody I've got boots on the ground was that number one, the one criticism they said is there are periods in the film that will feel slow. And at 2 hours and 41 minutes, that's almost unavoidable. Sure. And they said they saw a couple of younger folks, like 13, 12, coming out and heard them over talking. That was really long, but you're going to get that. And no, it wasn't Ray Ora. So I'm wondering if Ray's going to be able to sit through a movie that long. Yes, so got a little bit on that. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick peek here to see if we have more reactions coming in. And no, I've got that one already. So I'm getting people still sending in reactions. Many of them are ones that I've already seen. This is a new one that we haven't seen yet. Oh, no, that is not one from there. That's one we've already seen. Okay, so it seems like we're getting most of them now that are going to be coming out. So, Rob, right now it seems that the consensus from everybody coming out is that the movie sounds like it's pretty magnificent. 1 out of the 20 or 20 some odd said it's not a perfect movie. I just talked to somebody who said it definitely does feel a little slow in some places. But other than that, we're hearing incredible praise for the villain, the leads. They say it's definitely a much more serious film than the MCU has been, especially lately. And Rob, I think you and I agree. While I love the tone of the MCU, they have, with Thor Love and Thunder, I think everybody agrees, even though I generally like Thor Love and Thunder, it did lean way too much into the silliness and whatever.
Right.
And I think a lot of people were looking for an MCU movie coming out right now to bring the balance back, to bring that back the other way. And it sounds like one of the things we're hearing from everybody across is this is about grief and loss and vengeance and war and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's going to probably please a lot of people and maybe be a nice palate cleanser for the MCU as a whole to kind of swing that momentum a little bit more balanced where it has been in phases 1, 2, and 3. So that sounds pretty cool. But Rob, as we wrap things up here, is there what are the elements that we've hearing coming from all these different reactions that are impressing on you the most?
Well, just first and foremost, Namor. I mean, the fact that everybody seems to really, really love Namor. That's what I was really worried about because look, Namor should be a major player in the MCU going forward. And if people, the actor playing him is not that well known, and now he's going to be front and center. What do people think of his performance? How do they think he fits into the MCU? In my mind, the fact that people have seemed to universally like his performance is a huge vote of confidence for me, and it's kind of what I was really hoping to hear moving forward. So I'm excited. Color me stoked.
All right, got a couple of more here that have just come in. We'll wrap up with these will be the last reactions that we do here tonight. This one comes to us from Jamie in Wakanda. Black Panther Wakanda Forever was filled with a rich, captivating story and was jam-packed with action. I truly enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. Also, Dominique Thorne as Ironheart was the perfect comic relief for the film. So it sounds like in the true thing, looks, one of the best things about Marvel movies is they always know when to pepper in humor at the right time in the right way. The question has never been trying to remove the humor. It's about bringing that balance back that went out of whack with something like Thor, Love and Thunder. This one comes to us from Gregory Elwood, who writes, Wakanda Forever gets off to a slow start, but is quite moving at the end. Rihanna's first song is quite beautiful, incredible production design, score, and cinematography. Best picture? Question mark. More thoughts later on tonight. Wow. That comes from Gregory. And our friend Perry Nemiroff writes, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is excellent and immensely powerful story of forging forward, shattering at times, but also beautifully cathartic and heartening. Cannot get over how well the film earns that title. So, yeah, Rob, I mean, there it is. It's what we were expecting. I think listen, Ryan Coogler hasn't made a bad film yet. I'll go further. Ryan Coogler hasn't made a non-great film yet. Like whether you're looking at Creed, Black Panther, Fruitvale Station, like he just hasn't made a non-great film yet. So I think we were really expecting this, but there have been many times we've gone into these, waiting to hear the reactions coming out with certain expectations and it's not met those expectations. So I think this is pretty key. So anyway, Rob, you're hearing all these things. Is this doing anything to move your needle about your anticipation level?
My needle is this is pushed the needle to, as Spinal Tap would say, to 11. I really want to see this movie now. I mean, I'm more than I've wanted to see it. This has alleviated any fears I might have had or any. I can't wait. I'm very, very excited to see this now. I really can't wait. It just seems like it's right up my alley.
Someone in the live chat, I want to see if I can get who it was there. And I think I missed who it was who asked him. Oh, yeah, there it is. Stranger Things fan 04 writes in the live chat, and they're asking a pretty interesting question. Okay, now that we've heard these initial reactions, and we always know that the actual full reviews are always just a little bit below the initial reactions. But with that, Stranger Things fan 04 is writing, what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score will be?
That's a good question.
From what I'm reading here, I'm gonna guess in the low 90s. I mean, obviously, listen, no movies for everybody, so it's definitely going to have some negatives because that's the art. Not every movie works for everybody, no matter how good or bad it is. So, but I'm thinking from what we're hearing here is that I'm thinking 93. So where are you thinking the Rotten Tomato meter is going to end up on this?
I would say that 92, 93. I think 94, maybe 95. By the way, this is interesting. Jay Washington, our old friend Jay Washington, says Wakanda Forever hits all the notes you want it to hit. It gets the pain out of the way early, but that doesn't stop the emotional roller coaster. And my God, Namor the M word is fully used. And that's what he says. I guess he means mutant.
Well, guys, that will wrap it up here for Reaction Watch, as the first reactions for Black Panther Wakanda Forever have come rolling in. We're expecting many more reactions will roll on because through the night and stuff like that. We will cover this much more in depth on the John Campea Show tomorrow, but we wanted to be here with you guys as the very first reactions started rolling in and get you guys up to date on. So thank you guys so much for joining us for this little special live stream that we've done. Make sure you guys come back and join us again tomorrow. Rob, thanks a lot for being here. Where can people follow you and your stuff online?
You can find me on Twitter right now as I'm looking at Twitter, Burnett RM. Find me on Instagram at RM Burnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Post Geek Singularity. But I'm just watch, John. I'm going to see more as more things come in. It seems interesting.
Yeah, and again, a lot more for us to discuss tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us here tonight for this live stream. Again, make sure you come back and join us tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Los Angeles time, for the John Campea Show. We're going to collect a lot more of these reactions. We're going to analyze them a little bit more, go much more in depth, and we got a whole bunch of other topics to cover as well tomorrow. Make sure you come back and join us for that. So for myself and Robert Meyer Burnett, thanks a lot for being here, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.